Hello, good morning. It's great to be here. I want to talk to you today about improving public services. My background is primarily in the UK government. I spent many years working for the Department for Business and the Department for Trade. But last October 2016, I left the public sector and I joined a new company. We're based in London, we're called Public, because I wanted to see public sector services improved at a rate that I wasn't seeing in government. And we at Public have a real belief that if government can really take advantage of today's technology, of today's techniques of analysing data, public services really could be a lot better and be a lot better quickly and more cheaply, and this is better for all of us. And the technology is already out there. If I think about the phone that I have in my handbag today, it will manage my schedule for me. It will wake me up in the morning. I can buy a coffee on the way to work with my phone. It will tell me within a margin of 15 minutes error if it's going to rain today. But I never expect the same level of convenience from public services, from those services provided by the government. And why is that? I think partly, when a lot of us think about government, they think about this, or they might think about this. And in my experience, there's a bit of both. But there's also this. This is a picture of a digital team from a UK government, central government department. Their job is all about designing, delivering digital public services that meet the needs of citizens. Now, what does it mean if they do their job right? It means that if you go to a hospital or a doctor's surgery in any part of the country, they'll have your records. They'll be able to help you there and then and give you the help that they need. It means that if you live in a low-lying area on a floodplain, you can get early alerts about whether or not there's a risk of flooding coming up. It means that if you're in security, you can use technology to analyse CCTV footage to spot anomalies. It means that if you're a vulnerable adult accessing lots of different parts of the social care system, services will be triangulated for you so that you're getting the support that you need without needing to make more effort than is realistic or necessary. So I suppose the theme of my talk today is, what does the public sector need to be thinking about in order to make these guys succeed? Firstly, I want to talk about openness, and I mean this in terms of government being open to working differently. Technology and the face of technology has changed a lot in the last 10 years even. 10 years ago, if we wanted to access the internet, we'd plug our computer into a cable. If we wanted to upgrade our computer, we'd go out, we'd buy a disk, and we'd stick the disk in the computer, and that's how we would progress. That's how we would upgrade our software. Today, it's different. We use Wi-Fi to access the internet. If we want to upgrade software, we download it from the cloud. And this is a real shift in how we engage with technology. And as humans, we like things that are tangible. We like things that we can touch and feel and smell. And we trust those things more because there's something inherently scary about the intangible. Who knows what's in the cloud? What even is it? Ghosts are slightly cloudy. We shouldn't trust them. But we need to get comfortable with the idea that this is where technology is going. It might seem like a really simple point. For those of us who've used Wi-Fi at home, we're used to this whole idea of not necessarily having cables, not necessarily having physical things. But let me tell you that the UK Department for Education only got Wi-Fi this year, 2017. It's a live issue, and public sector needs to get comfortable with the changes that are happening in the technology environment. And when I say being open to new ways of working, I also mean that we need to reopen the idea of what user needs really are. We need to make sure that public services are being designed around what the end user needs. Now, governments operate under all sorts of constraints, from the media, from politics, from economic changes. And in that sort of pressurized environment, it's very easy to take the least risky option. Government is famous for being risk averse. We're very good at saying, well, we did this yesterday. We'll do it today. It's got to be the right answer. We've done it before. Social services have always looked like this. Healthcare has always looked like this. It must be right. Fundamentally, though, that's incorrect. It's not always right. We don't always know what our end users need. We haven't always asked them. We've assumed from our ivory tower in the public sector that that person over there with those needs, this is what they want, this is what they need. Too often, government consultations don't really consult. They don't really find out about what users need. And it doesn't matter if your end user is a working adult, whether they are a vulnerable child, whether they're actually someone working in public services. They might be a clinician in a hospital environment. They might be a civil servant in the Department for Business. In any event, their needs should be factored into the services that they are accessing, because that is the only way in which we're going to create services that really deliver, that really make a difference to people's lives. And it's very easy to do these things by paper. Government usually does. We need to rethink what being open and engaging with citizens really means. Sometimes that means getting out and talking, hosting round tables, having open discussions about what citizens really need, because it's only by being open to those ways of working that we're really going to design services that make a difference and improve people's lives. Now, for my second point, let's assume we know what our users need. Crucially, let's not jump to a conclusion about how we solve the particular problem that they're facing. Government is terribly good at writing very intelligently thought through, very detailed specifications about exactly what they want, and then going out and trying to buy it or trying to build it. However, don't commission a 200-part contraption to change a light bulb. If perhaps an alternative route might have been, you could just use your hand to take it down yourself. So the lesson here is, don't assume that you've got all the answers already. Be open to the idea that other answers are out there. So don't over-specify. Start from the basis of user needs, ask open questions, and then collaborate to find the right answer. And this leads into a new way of working that feels risky, I think, from a government perspective. Government is used to trying to solve big problems and trying to solve them all at once. Having a solution that takes you from A to Z fixes the problem. In so much of life, in so many public services, that it's based on a fundamental misunderstanding of what the problem really is. So often we don't really know what the end point is, or we're not yet sure what's really going to work. In my view, governments really need to have the courage to be able to start small, test, iterate, build from small beginnings, and that's the way in which you design services that really meet the needs of users. That's the way in which you really get the best out of technology, and that's what I think smart governments will be doing in the future. Starting small, iterating, and remembering to ask the right questions. And so my third point, how do we get all of this started? Where does this all come from? And I want to talk about the importance of nurturing ecosystems. Now, smart governments will know, they will recognize that companies they do business with will have a stamp of approval when that business tries to scale, because they've already worked with the public sector. So that means that if you are a business in the UK, if you're a tech business in Guernsey, and you are trying to scale internationally, perhaps you're trying to do business in Singapore, in Israel, in Germany, when they are talking to buyers in those markets, it is an instant positive that they've done business in their home country. Indeed, it's a bit of a question mark about why haven't you done business in your home country? Why isn't your government buying from you? Why are you not working with your government? And that's a question that I think it's really worth public servants holding in mind. Do not underestimate the value or the role that the public service plays in building healthy private sector ecosystems, because it really does count. And success breeds success. Clusters of successful tech companies will attract more skill, they attract more investment. It's only a benefit for the economy if you nurture the companies that are really doing well, because that becomes an expanding positive force. There's some interesting examples that you can see around the world about where this is happening really well. So Singapore, for example, Changi Airport announced this year that they are creating a living lab. They're putting 50 million Singaporean dollars into a testing environment so that creative tech businesses can test their products, can experiment, can explore in a live airport environment. And there's a win for everybody here. The businesses get to test their products, they get to improve their products, and as we all know, by testing and improving, that's how you really start to meet the needs of your users. It's also a real win for the airport. They get to be the beneficiaries of that technology. They get to make the most of the innovations that are coming out of those companies. They get to be at the forefront of the pack of innovation in that setting. It's a win-win, and this, I think, is an example that smart governments around the world should really be looking at and trying to emulate as far as possible, because nurturing your ecosystem is the way in which you're really going to promote technology and drive better public services. I think, just to sum up, is it worth it? It sounds like an effort, it's a lot of change. Is it really worth it? I'd have to say yes, because if governments really take advantage of technology today, tomorrow, the day after, that's the way in which they will begin to build public services that are not only cheaper, more efficient, they're also more effective, driving better quality of life for their citizens. And that brings benefits for government, businesses, citizens, and society as a whole. Thanks very much.